42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Atlanta Braves spring training is on from Florida, and this 2025 Brave squad is ready to get after it in Northport.
And he waylays this thing way downtown. Swung on the fly ball, deep left center field, heading towards the gap. That is down for a base hit. Acuna hits the bag at third. Here he comes. Michael Harris taking no prisoners. It's a sweep.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary, but it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
You guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan? The right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green. John Kendall, the Vice President of Mortgage with me. John, when they need a loan, and I say they, when people need a loan, it's about them.
That's right, Scott. Our whole motto is it's all about you. We're going to be okay. You're the one making the investment. We want to make sure that you're taken care of.
How do they find you?
Give us a call at 256-507-9180, or they can catch us online at bankofFrankEwing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green, where they take the home loan to you and they make it all about you. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDI insured bank, as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
Can't get a ticket? Never miss a second of Huntsville Havoc Hockey.
Huntsville has a 2-on-9, and that is okay. Tic-tac-toe, and off we go to Pensacola.
With the Havoc Zone, only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app. WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll, and I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
See what happens when you put your faith in the Vol basketball team. We're live here at Baumower's Victory Grille. Got somebody gloating next to me because I took a look at the halftime numbers. I was like, surely to goodness, the balls are going to figure it out.
Yeah, that's the easiest $10 I've made in a long time.
What I get for believing in you Vol fans out there.
Man, they're down by 9. I mean,
but they were right there with under 4. It was still a 2-point game.
Yeah, but they were down by 9. They had to use too much energy to come back. If they weren't on the road, it'd be different.
75.
I would have made that bet, but if it was in Knoxville, it's in Kentucky, which is a pretty hard place to play.
75-64, the winner for the Kentucky Wildcats, as they improved to 17-7. Vols dropped to 20-5 on the year. No problems for the 2 number 1s. Yes,
what about Florida?
2 number 1s.
Florida was a dog.
Florida was ticked off in the second half. They were down by 1 at halftime. And there's your road team that really stepped up in the second half. Florida outscores Mississippi State 48-34 in the second half. And they opened up a can at the hump there in the second half, winning at 81-68. And Alabama, they were just toying around with Texas.
Well, so, when you shoot 67% from the 3-point line,
hides a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, it does. I still think they're, watching the game and analyzing the second half, especially.
Yeah,
it's like they get a lead and then they don't play as hard as defense, trying to not foul.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And Texas has those little guards can shoot now. That was it. Number 1 is really. Was it number 0 or number 1 or both? I mean, that
Johnson in particular was
he was
all over the place.
He had a good game, but Alabama just has a bunch of players. They just have a bunch of players. Yeah, and if one guy's having a bad night, it used to affect him, but then just put another guy in, and when they shoot like that, they're going to be hard to beat. And to beat Auburn, they'll have to shoot like that. I don't think that anybody. I mean, you look at Florida. Alabama has some big guys, but I don't think Alabama has 2 guys that can guard those guys.
Yeah,
inside.
Yeah, that'll be tough.
It'll be tough.
Morey and Chaney went off last night. Right. That was fun to see. Of course, with his UAH background, but it's tell you.
So I try to tell his story. So he was, how tall was he when he got to UAH?
6'2.5" when he got to the Chargers. He left the Chargers almost 6'7". He grew 4.5 inches at UAH. And
I think he handles the ball well because he was a guard originally.
He was.
He's kind of,
you can tell.
Yes. And they mentioned that last night.
And especially that little baby hook that he was working on that all summer at UAH, by the way. That little baby hook. And if that is as consistent as it was last night for Chaney at Vanderbilt, then get ready. Get ready, Auburn Tiger fans. But we now have a number 1 versus number 1 set up and in full gorgeous radio for you. Coming up right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, as pregame will be at 2 o'clock, and then the game will tip at 3. And Coleman ought to be jumping. I mean that. Oh,
it will be. Yeah, I mean it's going to be a great game, but defense travels.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that Alabama's a tough road to beat Auburn. But if they do, then, if they do, it matters, but it doesn't matter. I mean,
I get that. Yeah.
Because they'll almost be a number 1 seed automatically.
Overall, number 1.
Yeah. It could be. So,
yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything, really. I mean, in the end, you still got to win your games.
Yeah.
And they got 7 tough games.
Bama was the number 1 overall seed 2 years ago. Didn't mean anything.
Exactly.
So they went on their Final Four run the year after. But there was a lot of off-the-court distractions, if we all remember what happened there. Just leave that there sitting. But, I mean, It really is amazing to see what Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates have accomplished. And it feels like, honestly, that we're just now hopping on this road, starting on this highway. It doesn't feel like this is – it feels like this is just the beginning to me.
That's what it feels like to me, too.
I don't know how long this road is going to last, but now in terms – right now, SEC fans out there, this year, I would not expect this year – to copy and paste for next year and copy and paste for the next year and the next year and the next year. That this is a very unique year, that this has never been accomplished. You have to go back to the ACC back in the 80s when that league was an 18 league. I mean, this is a 16-team league. And so I say, let's just all enjoy.
Even the bottom half, they're good.
Let's all enjoy the next 6 weeks. And
we'll
just
see how much we enjoy it. You never know what's going to happen.
Dive into your matchups are everything.
Yeah.
And the latest Ken Palm rankings that were updated as of this morning has Auburn 1, Duke 2, Houston 3, Florida 4, Tennessee 5, and Alabama 6. Those are the Ken Palm rankings. Of course, it is dubbed 1 versus 1, and tip of the cap there to Chris Stewart for dubbing it that way. And it's coaches poll versus AP poll. Who's right? We'll all find out on Saturday. Reese Davis is going to join us tomorrow on the program. Joining us on the program today, we will talk to the man himself, Drew DeArmond. We'll be here at Baumower's Victory Grill. There's a couple of tables open if you want to float on in here. This rain is ridiculous.
It's February in Huntsville, Alabama. It rains almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it rains a lot.
And
the creeks are full in February.
There's no doubt about that. Dane Bradshaw from the SEC Network is going to join us on the other side, and are going to try to squeeze in Richard Hendricks tomorrow too, just to dive in more into this Alabama Auburn megathon. It really, this is so unique to have a 1-2 matchup, a 2-1 matchup, or a 1-1 matchup, however you want to phrase it, of the amount of talent that you're going to see on the court on Saturday.
Yes. I mean, the Auburn probably has the player of the year, or he'll be in the top 5 at the worst. I mean, if he continues to play like he is, he'll probably be the player of the year. The defense is really good. They've won a lot of close games, and the only game they've lost 2 games. One to Duke, which they could have easily won.
Yep.
And they got pretty well trashed by the Florida. They won a close game.
Yeah.
Alabama has played. He has 3 losses, 1 more than Auburn. Their trash game was the Ole Miss, where they got trashed at home as well.
Yep.
And lost 2 close ones. Other than that, it's just it's interesting to watch. You watch Alabama, and to me, they're not like a dominant team. They just wear everybody down.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts out there, it'll be close, and then all of a sudden they'll go on a run.
Yeah.
And I think they're just wearing everybody down. It's going to be interesting to see how Auburn handles that. Well, not necessarily at Auburn. I give Alabama a 5% chance of winning at Auburn. But in Tuscaloosa, I give them a better chance.
I am interested to hear what Dane has to say. Dane Bradshaw going to join us. By the way, coming up tomorrow, we're also going to get I always really enjoy when we get some high-level guests that know what the heck that they're talking about, and March Madness. Clark Kellogg is going to join us tomorrow, and that'll be a lot of fun to get his insight. And he even texted me when I try to plan this out, and he texted me and said, let me guess, you want to talk about Auburn and Alabama? And you said, you better believe it. So he is going to give us a deep dive on his take on Auburn and Alabama tomorrow. But Dane Bradshaw, as we're live here from Baumower's Victory Grill, come on by. I see Wow. I see like one table open right now.
Yeah, it's kind of slowly. Well, there's some over there. There's not as full as it. There's still some spots.
Float on in. We'll be here for the next hour and 50 minutes. Let's go ahead and take our first time out. Dane Bradshaw joins us next right here on The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Our customers want best-in-class solutions. That's why we've recently added many new vendors like Zebra barcode printers. Our next level team has added premier automation solutions. We're not here to sell you just one product, and we love helping you find the right solution for your specific needs. That's what doing the right thing is all about, and that's why our customers have come back for over 50 years.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, then enter in the big zone deals store for half-off zone deals of Lawler's Barbecue, Sea Salt, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos Mexican Grill, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Hickory Store Barbecue, Good Company Cafe, Apple Lane Farms, the Decatur location, and rounds of golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening. This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone with my friend Brandon Pilcher from Pilcher's Appraisals. Brandon, what exactly do you do?
Steve, I'm an appraiser. I can value a property for you if you're potentially going to sell, and that valuation could also be used to help you with your property taxes.
Thanks, Brandon. Brandon is licensed in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. You can contact him at 706-936-3766. Call or text.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at WoodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here at Baumower's Victory Grill. Wes Neighbors, Steve Moulton back here with you. Brian Temple back at the studios.
Hello.
The new plush studios of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 3 games going on tonight in SEC basketball with 19th ranked Ole Miss at South Carolina. LSU is at Arkansas. The Ole Miss South Carolina game, by the way, is on the SEC network. LSU Arkansas is on ESPN2. Our friend Richard Hendricks is on the call for that one. And Oklahoma Mizzou is also on the SEC network. Those are all games going on tonight in the Southeastern Conference. It was a big night last night in SEC basketball, and a lot of big-time performances from the Auburn Tigers. Big win up in Memorial Gymnasium, and Alabama had zero problem with Texas, where Alabama scored 54 points in the second half. That's after they scored 49 in the first half. Shooting was not a problem last night for Nate Oates' team. Kentucky held a lead into halftime and pulled away at the end for the 75-64 win over the Tennessee Volunteers. And late night last night, Georgia gave the Aggies a little bit of a test early. In fact, held a 32-23 lead at halftime. But the Aggies poured it on in the second half as they downed Georgia last night. 69-53 is that final score. Are we good with Dane back there at Mission Control?
We absolutely are.
Excellent. It's always fun to talk some hoops with Dane Bradshaw on loan from the SEC Network and former captain for the Vols back in 04 through 07. Dane, how are you this evening, sir?
Hey, guys, I'm doing great. It's been a while. Hope you're doing okay.
Absolutely. It has been a minute, but I tell you, my partner here believes that basketball season starts in late February, and we were actually talking SEC basketball as early December. That this has been so much fun to follow. What have you enjoyed the most, honestly, this season? You tell me. What have you enjoyed the most, Dane?
Yeah, I think because I've loved the SEC, I've followed SEC basketball from an analyst standpoint. I've been a part of it when the SEC was a national punching bag, and deservedly so. And when it was really in the gutter in 2014, and to see the rise, it wasn't necessarily a quick rise, but it was a step here and a step there, and each year getting better and better. Now, to have one of the most historic season, if not the most historic season. March will certainly play into that narrative. I told somebody it's great because it's like you get to talk about your own kids without feeling guilty about talking about your own kids the whole time. Because every national broadcast you get on, it's like, oh, guess we get to keep talking SEC instead of other national narratives out there, because the story is the SEC, and they've deserved it, and the non-conference was just remarkable. And anybody who's followed it, it seems like there's always those duds in non-conference that make everybody in the pundits say, oh, here's the SEC, just means more. They just lost to North Dakota State or whatever. And that just didn't happen this year. I mean, the SEC was on a tear collectively.
Well, so both number ones held serve last night, so that is set up for a monster matchup on Saturday. Let's dive into Bama first, and we'll head over to Auburn second. But Bama in particular, from guard play to even Clifford Amore coming in, the transfer. What impresses you most about this Nate Oates team?
Well, prior to them finding their shooting stroke and Youngblood coming along, but what impressed me the most really was how well they were scoring the ball, despite not shooting the three very well at all. And that just is such a compliment to Nate Oates' offense, that they could shoot very pedestrian-like from deep, yet their pace and their spacing and their ability to score from two and from the free throw line had them in a position to get in position to be one of the top teams in America. They weren't there a few weeks ago, but now they're really hitting on all cylinders. And I think it's going to be a massive challenge for them, because I believe one of their top priorities really in the offseason was, how do we get bigger down low? Grant Nelson played phenomenal in that NCAA tournament, but I think when they need to move him down to the 5, there's some advantages offensively, but I just think you're asking him to do too much on the defensive end, especially when you go up against someone with a quality big like Auburn has. So the guy you mentioned, Amore, he can't just be good. He's got to be great. And they've got to, this is how Bruce Pearl used to tell us. I played for the guy. When they had a star on the other side, he'd say, look, they've got a great 5-man, but it's got to be our 5 men against their 5-man. We got to collectively win that matchup. I think that's Alabama's challenge.
And just through the years, I remember when Nate first got to Tuscaloosa, he was complaining so much about lack of guards on his roster there, and kind of got through that first season, but it almost feels like an embarrassment of riches right now, and because we were complaining about Mark Sears about 3 weeks ago. I mean, we're at that point now, Dane.
Yeah, I know, and he did. It was who's sorry, it's killing me. The name was Lewis, right? The star young guard that was.
Oh, you talking about LeBaron Philon?
No, I'm sorry. When he first came into Alabama.
Gotcha. Yes. Oh, now you're
George
quizzing
Gard
me.
came in, 17 years old.
Yeah.
He's league player. So sorry, fans, not on my A game. But I remember.
I'll look it up.
He didn't have the depth that he needed, and I remember him saying, "Man, we're good on offense, but we're so poor defensively." But really can't. Kyron Lewis, thank you. I really can't bench a guy like that when he's giving up points because I just don't have the depth. Because I take him out, and then the other team goes on a 6-0 run, and I'm not really teaching him much of a lesson. And now he can hold these guys so much more accountable because they have the depth in the front court, and as much attention as his offense gets. I mean, they are locked in defensively. I think that, and I know you guys talk about it, and there's only, his offense and the efficiency deserves so much attention, but the least talked about is his balance to say, yeah, we're going to play fast. We're going to shoot a lot of threes, but you're also not going to punk us. And the whole hard hat mantra, I think, is what it really separates Nate Oates from never allowing his team just to become a soft team that's trying to outscore people. They're looking to stop you too.
How important is it for the growth of a team, especially here in February and into March, of the bench testing the starters? And I don't mean necessarily just a scout team of guys holding each other accountable moving forward this time of year, Dane. How important is that, you think, this time of year?
Yeah, I think there's certainly that, and I believe the psychology too of you just when you're a rotation guy, you might be out of the rotation, or if you're coming off the bench and you're not quite getting the minutes you thought you'd get prior to the season. There's so much of this stay ready for your opportunity. I know it sounds coach speak, but we have seen it time and time again in the SEC. Auburn had to survive without Janai Broome. Everybody got more minutes on that front court. Some guys that weren't in the rotation stepped in. Walter Clayton Jr. from Florida went out. Those guys, Denzel Aberdeen moves into the starting lineup. He takes care of business. Lamont Butler was out for Kentucky, and all they did was win some big games. Zakai Ziegler was out for a game against Florida, and they played one of the best games of their season. And so you just don't know when your opportunity is going to come. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is, one night somebody, the opposing team could be chanting bitch warmer at you, and the next night you're front page of the news section. You just and because of the physicality of this league, it's a cumulative effect. And I'm not just saying, hey, that's the reason for some of these injuries. I was in Starkville last night. Big man Alex Condon goes down first play of the game with an ankle injury, just trying to get an entry pass. And next thing you know, Thomas Houck comes in off the bench. He had one of the greatest stat lines you'll see all season. And I think he had he was near a triple double. And so those are the things that you just got to expect the unexpected.
Talking to Dane Bradshaw from the SEC Network right now, of course, former Tennessee Vol. Aiden Holloway, what have you seen maybe in his game differently, the same from Auburn to Alabama?
I think confidence, seeing the ball go in. I thought he got good looks at Auburn, and it's not taking anything away from Nate Oates. And I'm sure he would, if he was on the show, he would counter and say, well, here's what we are doing differently to get him maybe better looks. But I thought he was getting pretty good looks at Auburn. And I thought they would do a good job of not making him be a point guard. Last year, they would put Trey Donaldson in there so he could be a shooting guard. But for whatever reason, just never quite got the flow. And I didn't see him in high school other than some highlights. But every coach you talk to when you're going around the league, they're like, yeah, well, Holloway shooting the way we all saw him shoot on the circuit. I mean, this doesn't surprise a lot of people at all. So this didn't like it was a guy that all of a sudden had found his shooting touch out of nowhere. If anything, he had one bad shooting season probably in his whole prep career to where he is now, and Nate Oates has him playing without second guessing. And I think too, maybe you get a little bit humbled after that freshman year, and you take a step back and start focused on yourself, that you're not the greatest thing since sliced bread. Not saying he felt that way, but when you have a little bit of that humility and you transfer, at that point you're like, all right, I got to make this situation work. And I think that's not just for him, but for other transfers. Of course, we see guys do it multiple times, but at some point there's an accountability that I think rises on the player after a transfer situation.
So I got a more general question. You look at college basketball and NBA basketball, you see NBA basketball is kind of fading. I used to watch NBA all the time, and I hardly watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Hardly ever watch college, and now I find myself watching games other than the school I pull for. What has changed in the last 15 years? Because it seems like I'm not the only one that's happened to.
Well, I think some of the reasons that are out there is the load management stuff with the NBA, and you could argue the amount of trades and the super teams that tried to be formed haven't been good. However, to your point though, on one hand, it's hard for me to say, yeah, I don't like watching the NBA because of all the trades. You never know who's playing for who. Yet I'm loving college basketball right now when the roster turnover has never been higher.
Yeah.
So it's hard to argue that. I do think college basketball over the past 2-3 years has gotten to be so much better of a product because you're retaining so much more of the talent than you did in years past, particularly with the big men, because the NBA doesn't value the Zach Edey's of the world, the Janai Brooms of the world as much as maybe some think they should, or maybe they could have back in the day. Now those guys make for some really good upperclassmen stars. And some of that's been due to, the COVID year and the transfer stuff. And then of course, NIL playing that factor. And so that is one thing. I'm not sitting here saying that I just love everything about NIL, but I do think it's allowed college basketball to retain more talent than it ordinarily would have. And at the end of the day, you're seeing a better product on the court. And I don't think the viewers sitting there turning on the game trying to figure out how much each player's making. I think they're turning on the TV to see a good, entertaining product, and they're getting it.
Let's flip over to the Auburn Tigers. And I know you've already touched on them a little bit, but, man, it was at least a lot of fun. I call UAH Charger basketball just for your reference sake, Dane. So it's a lot of fun for me to see a kid like Chaney Johnson, who spent 2 years at UAH, and boy, he had a special night there in Nashville last night, but he always played his best in the biggest games at UAH, and I'm starting to see more of that on a more consistent basis. But I know you've mentioned Broom as well, but Pettiford and what he's brought to the table. The Auburn Tigers, give me your scouting report on Bruce's team this year.
Yeah, well, that's really cool, unique perspective that you have there. And because you see some of those situations, and when somebody like that transfers up, and look, he was fine last year, but nobody was calling it some home run transfer get. At least I wasn't. And those are I root for stories like that, because the kid is probably thinking, did I make the right decision? As much as he loves Auburn, but players love being in a featured role too. And the sacrifice is I went to a higher level, but my usage rate is down. I'm not accustomed to being a guy clapping at the end of the game, rooting on my teammates. I'm used to being the other way around. Like, I'm starting and I'm finishing the game. And so those new roles are tough adjustment periods. But I just love the fact that a guy like that, a guy like Dylan Cardwell, that they just keep growing each year and sticking with it. And I think that makes their stories even more unique. And Janai Broom, as much attention as to get an All-American, we certainly can't lose sight of the underdog story that he is. Who would have ever thought that a transfer from Morehead State would come in and be what he's become? And so that's Bruce Pearl, though, man. I mean, I think all those players would have success wherever they went, but I just don't think they would have as much success if Bruce Pearl wasn't their head coach. I've lived it, and I've seen it too many times over again to say anything otherwise.
Was Bruce a big, I imagine he was a big talker before the game. Was there any pregame message that stands out more than others during your time in Rocky Top?
He was fiery and intense. But actually his pregame message, he's got his whiteboard, and a lot of it is like a cram session for your final test review. I mean, he's up there the first 10 minutes. Hey, remember, we're doing this on this play call. Tonight we're going to do this one, but with the back door. Remember this guy, he's going left, he's going left again. Sit on that left hand. Like, boom, boom, boom. And then the final 30 seconds will be more about they don't respect us, or here's how we're going to make history. Big on history. Nobody's ever done this. And certainly he's got a position, he's lived the number 1, number 2 game, Memphis, Tennessee. And at that time he said, look, I don't know if we're the number 1 team in the country, but we're 40 minutes away from being it. And that was more of a slightly underdog role maybe, whereas Auburn, I think, is different in terms of, hey, this is going to be the most historic game in Auburn and Alabama basketball history for the rest of our lives. Which side are you going to be on? And that to me is my predictable Coach Pearl speech, if you're buying it.
So
I am.
Who wins this game and why?
Boy, that is tough. I just keep going back to Auburn is better on the interior. And I think Janai Broome has the ability to be such a good passer. I do favor slightly Alabama because of the home court advantage. But I'll tell you, regardless of this game, now if Alabama beats by 20, my decision might change. I told somebody earlier today, regardless of the outcome, I still think Auburn is the more complete team. I think they have been all season long. And so I see this being a close one. But I tell you what, you talk about a statement win, Auburn has an opportunity here. It's just hard to go against Alabama on their home court.
So who you picking?
I said it's hard to go against Alabama on the home court.
Okay.
So with that in mind, this pick isn't easy. Auburn's up.
I did want to get a thought or two about Florida since you saw them.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm telling you, Florida
might be the best team playing right now of the three.
Yeah, they had the big man Alex Condon go down. Florida is really good. You talk about a balanced offense. They've got good bigs. They've got really good guards. There's part of me, because I had the Florida-Tennessee game where I saw Tennessee just take them out of everything and beat them by 20. And that's just, I had a front row seat for that one. That one stuck in my mind a little bit because I do think they can have some droughts, but they're on a mission right now. I think they're just getting, other than that blip. If you're going to beat Florida, though, I was really surprised by the Tennessee one, but Missouri beat them. Even South Carolina played them close. If you're thin on the front line, I hate the matchup for you. If you got some big bodies down low that can handle their offensive rebounding, because the problem isn't necessarily – it is a problem. It's hard to shut down their offense on the first shot, but that's where the game just gets started because they're top 5 in the country getting their own misses, and they become a real challenge.
A&M is another team that I'm kind of gravitating towards. What they did at Ole Miss, and I know that was a couple of weeks ago, Dane, but I think they had the lead for like maybe 11 seconds. But it was the right 11 seconds at the end of the game. It just they just are finding ways, and they certainly got tested by Georgia last night, but they were impressive at home against the Dogs last night. But at Texas A&M, I'm starting to buy into that group there from College Station.
Well, I think you should, because they know how to win. They do not panic. A lot of that is due to the continuity they have on their roster. They've got guys that have been together a long time, which is certainly a rare trait. They scheduled tougher in the non-conference this year than they have in the past 3 or 4. So they were ready for conference play. And there's a mentality, like when you've been in so many close games and you were one of those expect to win teams as opposed to play not to lose teams, it's just a huge psychological advantage. They had one tough heartbreaker at Texas where they gave up a big lead, but they've shown that they can win. Since then, they've got that in the rearview mirror for sure. But if you're a doubter of Texas A&M, there's going to be some times during the game where you said, I told you they weren't that good, because it looks like an AAU team. There's a method to the madness. I'm not saying they are, but there's times it looks like it, where it's just my turn offense. Here you go. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. And it can look really ugly when they're not getting the offensive rebound, which is a big part of their offense. But they do a good job of making it ugly on you. And I bet if you polled every player in the SEC and every coach, I would bet, who do you hate playing against the most? I would bet Texas A&M gets the most votes.
Interesting. And I say all that to say that we've had about a 17-minute conversation here, and I haven't even mentioned Kentucky, and they had a big win last night. Mark Pope and what he was able to do. I mean, there was a lot of question marks heading into this season. That early win over Duke, and just how and you can tell, you can see the joy on his face after wins in particular there, and what Coach Pope. I'm amazed how good Kentucky is playing. How about you?
Absolutely. They were playing better for a longer period of time than I really thought. Like, give credit where it's due with that win against Duke. I just felt like they were overachieving some, and I was like, you know what, the worst is yet to come for them because of the schedule, but they handled it so well longer than I expected. Now with the injuries, and they did have lose a couple games in a row, but you talk about handling adversity, that they've been able to do it. I don't know what more by mid-February you could want to see from Mark Pope. I mean, his teams play well together. They've handled injuries. They've won road games. They've won neutral site games. They've defended their home court. They've shown that they can stick together after, a losing streak. If anything, can they defend? Because all season long we've seen them be inconsistent there. Sometimes they've even had to go zone just to help subsidize their man-to-man. So that's the one thing. But they're built more for offense. But they're pretty darn good at it. And I'm so impressed with Mark Pope, and certainly has a great argument for Coach of the Year.
Well, where you landing Saturday? What game you calling Saturday?
Really big one for Arkansas at Texas A&M. So that's going to be a really tough road opportunity for Arkansas. They are not particularly strong in the paint, and A&M is going to look at that one and say, we got to manhandle these guys. And I'm sure that'll be the message from Coach Calipari, is being able to step up and try to punch the bully in the mouth first.
That's an early tip as well. So watch out 1-versus-1 matchup in the afternoon.
I'll try. I'll be hustling to the Houston airport and then connecting Atlanta and trying to get home from there. So we'll see.
Safe travels, Dane, and always appreciate the time, sir.
All right. Thank you, guys.
That is Dane Bradshaw. So he picked – who did he pick? Yeah, he picked Alabama. He picked Auburn and Alabama, right?
Yeah, he didn't answer the question.
Very diplomatic.
Yes,
there of Dane. But I mean,
obviously he's
such a great breakdown.
Yes.
Whatever you decide, I'm with you fellas.
Oh goodness!
What's the line?
It doesn't show me on here. What would you put the line at?
Well, I saw the win, the
projection.
Yeah, projection.
What's the?
I think Alabama's a 45% chance to win this game at home, and it was 18% or 10% or very much lower to win at Auburn, obviously. So that kind of made me think that Auburn might be a slight favorite, like a 1-point favorite.
I don't see it on the board yet, at least from the main board that I go to over at VEASAN. But I mean, if this thing's not a pick'em, I don't know what a pick'em would be. I would have trouble setting this basketball line, as much as Dane would have trouble picking this basketball line more than anything. It's I will you know what? When in doubt, let me go to Google.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. We are live here at Baumower's Victory Grill. I mean, it's giving me lines for the Iron Bowl. I mean, it is the Iron Bowl.
They always think you're talking about
football.
Yeah.
Wait a second. 5.5. This is Tuscaloosa News. When did this come out? Today at 4:14. Tide opened up as a 4.5-point underdog.
Yeah.
Huh. 4.5 points. Man, that's just begging you to pick Auburn. That is just begging you to pick Auburn.
No, I think it's the other way around. I think they're begging you to pick Alabama.
Really?
Yeah. If you got Auburn's a 4.5-point favorite to Alabama at home, they're begging you to pick Alabama. To me, that Vegas is. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely. You think Auburn should be a bigger favorite? You were thinking that Alabama was going to be
I didn't know what the line was going to be. I was going to think a point and a half.
That's what I was thinking.
That didn't work so well for the Super Bowl over the weekend. That ended up being a 1-point favorite for the Chiefs.
Yeah, but they were begging you to bet on the Chiefs because the Chiefs were, they're thinking only 1 point. This the teams won 2 in a row. Played them.
Bet365, BetMGM, and DraftKings all picked Auburn at 5.5 points.
Yeah.
Not 4.5, 5.5 points.
Right. I think no matter what you say, I think it would be an upset for Alabama to win at home. I really do. I mean, Auburn just, first of all, everything he just said about. I've witnessed Alabama has trouble with big men down low, and the best big men in the country is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I think might give him a chance is the was it Amore or whatever?
Clifford Amore.
He's pretty good down low.
Yep.
They can figure out a way to keep him down there. Right, the way they play. So, Auburn switches off everybody. All of them play good defense. The only reason Alabama will win is because they're at home, and or if they shoot. Florida beat Auburn on 2 things. One is they hit they hit a bunch of 3-pointers, and then defensively they were able to handle Broom and they're 7-footers, But Alabama, they have some pretty good defensive guys, but nothing like Florida, in my opinion. They got 7'4", right?
Well, the guy who's 7'9" is on the bench this year, but they've got a 7'4" guy as well.
But Broom had trouble with him.
Yeah,
there's no question about that.
Yep.
And Cardwell, for that matter. So it's going to be a fun game to watch just because we're going to see if, Nate Oates has pulled out a couple against Auburn at home where there's, a lot of people didn't think they had a chance to win.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I mean, if Alabama turns the ball over like they've been, it's going to be hard for them to beat a great team, and Auburn's a great team. Not taking away anything. I think Alabama has a bigger upside than Auburn does because of their bench is so good. But they're not, to me, His shooting is going to be the deal. Alabama's over 50% shooting the 3-point, they'll win. If they're under, they won't. That's kind of the way it breaks because they got to overcome everything else.
Yeah. We're live here at Baumower's Victory Grill. Bryce, if you stick with us, we'll start off our final segment of hour number 1 with you. Drew DeArmond is coming on over. Boy, I had to twist his arm to get him on over here to Baumower's Victory Grill. But he'll be here at the top of the hour as well. You can as well. There's one table that I see right in front of us.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganville here from my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. And we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Howdy, folks. Bob Baumower here. Whether you're planning a tailgate party at the game, cheering for your favorite teams at home, or at your local Baumhauers with your family and friends, we're here to make your football party legendary with our party-ready tray selections. From our always fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade Nana's chicken salad, and of course, our fresh, never frozen, award-winning Buffalo-style chicken wings. Baumhower's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Rain continues into this Wednesday night. Low temperatures expected to fall into the lower 40s for the overnight. Heading into our Thursday, expect a mostly cloudy start, gradually becoming partly sunny by the afternoon. Temperatures going to be noticeably cooler. Highs are only expected to reach the upper 40s for the afternoon. We could also see wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And now a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Never worked.
Back here at Baumower's Victory Grill. Plenty of things on the menu. Seeing some burgers, of course, wings. The hamburger steak is something
always a solid
that
choice.
I'm telling you, it's the hamburger steak is really well prepared here at Baumower's.
It's delicious, actually.
It really is. Hard to get past the wings, though.
Well, so I did all.
I
got wings, burger,
and a salad,
and a side salad. Delicious,
Yeah.
absolutely delicious.
So
Can't beat that.
That is
Great
here.
service.
Yeah. All right. Here, ask for Heather. Come on by here at Baumower's Victory Grill as the place is filled up quite nicely. As you can float on in with all this wet weather and leave. I don't worry about cooking. Just come on by here at Baumower's as the bar is filling up as well.
It's okay. They're up on a hill. You'll be fine.
Yep. Absolutely. Bryce is called in, and he is first up. How are you, Bryce?
I'm doing fine. Guys, we cut the turnovers down to 8 to 10 turnovers in the whole game, and we've got to just keep playing. Does anybody know the status on Reed? Is he going to be available or not?
I don't know, but I will. I think our boy Rudy Armin is heading down to the game. Darion Reed is who Bryce is speaking of, and so we'll get that speculation out of Drew at the top of the hour. And he, let's see here, he's played in 17 games this year, but yeah, I think Reitzel going down maybe hasn't talked about quite enough on this basketball team. Certainly had a spark right out of the gate with this Alabama roster. But Clifford Amore is, I was thoroughly impressed when I had the opportunity to call that game over at the VBC against Memphis out of the gate. He just looked like he blended very well immediately. So ought to be a lot of fun on Saturday, Bryce.
And Darren Stevenson, Jaron Stevenson, I'm sorry, he stepped up last night. And
He played awesome, but we had Bryce. We had 17 turnovers last night.
Oh, way too many. We
yeah. Well, I mean,
out of Coleman if we turn the ball over that many times.
Yeah.
Well, this just in, Auburn's defense is a touch better, you think, than Texas's defense.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the turnovers are
self-inflicted.
Yes.
No, there was a lot of
too much
sloppy
dribbling.
pass. Yeah.
Too much dribbling. You can't dribble like that against Auburn. You're gonna get smoked.
You gotta keep the ball moving and keep the shot flowing and everything. But I couldn't have said any better what you said about the bench. I think our bench is better than Auburn. But it would be a shot arm if we had Reed.
Right. It's to me, it's the turnovers and how does Alabama shoot? If Alabama shot like that,
you're not gonna shoot like that every night.
Well, just if you do it just 4 or 5 times a year, that's pretty good. That was unbelievable. Yeah. But a lot of it had to do with the defense of Texas, and that was why we were having trouble driving, is because they were double teaming, which is causing the turnovers. But when you do that, you're leaving somebody open.
That's right.
So
pick your poison.
Exactly. Yes.
And then I thought the team they shot so good. I thought they wasn't hustling and going as they normally do, because Texas was getting a lot of second chance shots. I didn't like that on the O board. We're gonna have to out rebound Auburn and cut down on the turnovers to beat Auburn, because Auburn's a good basketball team. I'm not going to But
Yeah, well, that's what I said.
That's
there is
that's,
something else. I
that's a
do
little
think-
bit of an understatement
Yeah,
right there.
they're really
Auburn
good,
is
yeah.
a really good basketball team.
But I do think Nate Oates is a better coach than Pearl.
I don't know about that.
It's the jury's
I
out.
think he is.
Because so how many times has Bruce Pearl took Auburn to the Sweet 16 or better?
Well, of course, he had the Final Four run.
That's the same year. The only year they've gone to the Sweet 16 once.
He's a better coach.
Yeah.
He pushed the 4-1 odds.
And then how many times has Nate Oates done it at Alabama so far? 4? I think they're both great coaches, but I mean, to me,
Yeah, I was thinking 3.
yeah, is it 3 or 4?
Oates
I thought
got
it was
his number.
3.
Yeah,
Is the way I'm looking at it.
It's
And,
4. It's
another thing-
Sweet 16, round of 16, 64, Sweet 16, Final Four. So he's been in the Sweet 16 3 times.
yeah,
Hey,
in
Brian,
5 years,
listen,
yeah.
I need to ask him one thing about Jacksonville. Are y'all surprised that they didn't swing any higher at the fence when Rich Rod left? I mean, Charles Kelly just don't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling.
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know.
Bryce, Steve and I were talking about this. Is Brian Temple. We were talking about that, and we were surprised they didn't go after Bill Clark.
Yep.
Since he got lost,
Bill
since he got
Clark is
lost
the
in the
guy.
shuffle from UAB.
Yeah, to me, Bill Clark was the guy.
and would have been a
To
perfect
me.
culture match.
Right.
And he's local. And I think, Bryce, even you and I have talked about that a little bit. Well,
Well, I
I'm
think
just
he's-
as surprised.
is he
I mean, I want to see
healthy?
the guy from Auburn.
I don't know if his back is fully
Yeah, I don't
healthy or
think he's
not.
healthy.
Well,
I
and
know
that's the
reason.
wild card. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
He
got
had
Coach
some
Clark's
good-
number,
good
so
coaches, but they left
I'll
a
ask him
better
how
guy.
he's feeling.
Hey, one other thing, did y'all see how easy it was about what they could come up with for most of the game? The pick. I mean, how cheesy and pathetic is that?
I could
You
not
guys
understand
see that?
you.
Okay, in order to promote the Iron Bowl of basketball Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
they showed the pick 6. How cheesy is that?
The kick 6.
Yeah. You know, when Auburn beat us, you know, when
No,
Yeah,
I am fully, I'm
I was
fully aware.
surprised they did that. I told somebody about
who did that?
that on the broadcast.
What, ESPN?
Yes, they played kick 6.
They played the kick 6.
Which I could understand if it was Alabama Auburn playing that, but
At
they're playing
Auburn?
Texas. Yeah, I mean, Alabama's won 5 in a row. They didn't mention that. I mean, it's just I didn't get that.
Jimmy Dykes just loved us down the way.
Yeah.
All righty,
He's
Bryce.
so pathetic, it ain't even funny. Thanks for letting me talk, guys. But
Yes,
I did
sir.
have to keep that in about
So,
yes.
Well, they were
kick
talking
six. I
last
hope y'all
night.
saw that.
Yep.
Thank you. They were talking like last night, like Alabama might lose the game any second because of turnovers. They're up by 20.
I guess we need to play the kick 6 next, right?
Well, I mean, be more appropriate now than it would be on
okay. All right.
watching an Alabama broadcast.
Then get ready.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Is Sports Center. I'm Nick DeLuca. Good night in the NBA. Starting in Boston, defending champs hosting the Spurs. Celtics just 16-10 at home this season after dominating over the last couple, looking for a third straight win tonight. Spurs trying to hang around in the Western Conference playoff race, couple of games out of the play-in. Boston -7.5 on ESPN. Bet the game on ESPN TV. Tip in a couple of minutes. Sixers and Nets getting going later, but a struggle for Philly this season with a number of injuries to start Joel Embiid. ESPN Radio's Clinton Yates says Embiid's career is trending in the wrong direction.
This guy is a mega talent. He's quite the personality. He brings so much to the table in terms of his skill set, but he can't stay on the floor. And that's so disappointing. He's had MVP years. You really hoped that whatever they were going to be, at some point it was all going to come together for Philly. And I hate to say this, but it feels like that's just not in the cards anymore.
Yates on Clinton and Friends. Philly 20-33 this season. In college football, Ohio State finalizing a deal to hire NFL coaching veteran Matt Patricia as the school's new defensive coordinator. Buckeyes also promoting Tim Moulton to co-defensive coordinator to replace Jim Knowles, who left for Penn State after winning the national title this year. Patricia spent 6 years as Patriots DC and 3 years as head coach of the Lions.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon, coming up Thursday. Russell Wilson to the Raiders, Justin Fields stays in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you where the best landing spot is for all of the available quarterbacks. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Well, I guess if this thing comes up short, he can field it and run it out. All right, here we go. 56-yarder.
I can't do it. You know what? I just played that front part of it. Auburn fans, if you want me to play the rest of it, I'm going to need to hear from you. Or
it's got
it doesn't have the distance. We know that. What that has to do with the iBob, I have no idea. But I will tell you this, that our weekly conversations with Drew DeArmond, brought to you by Environmental Comfort Systems. You can check them out online at envcomfort.com. How are you, Drew DeArmond?
Oh, I'm great. I watched the last 10 minutes or so of the game last night when I got home from Greenbrier Barbecue, and we had a recruiting wrap-up that we always have yearly. It was a little later this year, going into Kellen DeBoer's second season, but I watched it, and I was yelling at the TV. It was a very one-sided conversation, Carl Ravitch and Jimmy Dykes butchering the game.
I was listening to Chris and BP and
well, you did the smart thing because you didn't miss Dumb and Dumber on the air, and then piss poor production, which basically is what it was. Because I don't know, NATO's is 6-4 against Bruce Pearl, but a lot of them been classic games. Let's not show those though. Let's show football. I mean, idiots.
Auburn's going to win the football
game. How do you size up this matchup? Are you going Saturday?
Oh, absolutely. Got my parking pass today, ready to go. Now, if I don't know if I have a seat yet because again, I'm fully going in bracing myself because there were 29 NBA scouts at the Alabama-Texas game last night. A lot of those will probably make their way down to Tuscaloosa. I'm fully ready for the Rob Dosters and the Jeff Goodmans and maybe even who knows. I mean, John Rothstein's, of course, Skarbinski, but I'm just talking about the national guys all being there.
Yeah.
Doster, Goodman, Rothstein, all these insiders. Maybe Matt, Norlander. So they're going to give all these guys access.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I just hope I have my usual seat. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think it's arguably the two best teams in the country.
Yeah.
Maybe Duke being third, and Duke did beat Auburn, but. Auburn's played at a very consistent level. I mean, they kind of got ambushed by Florida, but Florida's really good. And by the way, very glad to hear because being away from the TV last night, the first reports I heard about Alex Condon, the Australian big for Florida, was that it was season ending. Turns out it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very severe sprain. Glad he'll be back because they're very, very good. And they'll play Alabama down the stretch in Tuscaloosa, but Auburn did lose that one game at home, but Alabama had that same deal happen and responded, after the Ole Miss loss. So Auburn has responded because that was a really good win last night. Chaney probably had the best game of his Auburn career.
Man, that was fun to watch.
9 out of 10.
Man, that was fun to watch.
Except for the Florida game, the last several, Denver Jones has played really well. So the 2-5-6 guys played great last night. Jonai was solid. And so, Auburn's really good. Alabama's really good. I'm thinking a split. I'm thinking both of them protect the home court, but you never know. Auburn's certainly capable. And Alabama, it's kind of funny. They played better on the road. But, look, I fully expect Alabama to be ready to roll. I mean, this is, Jaron Stevenson had the best game of his season last night with 22, shot 7 of 8 from the floor. And I'm just saying, if Mo Diabate makes 3 threes, there's no shot. You're not beating Alabama because he's not a shooter. But he
looked as shocked as when he made the last one. He looked like he was just almost giddy.
Well, I mean, he was feeling it. So that's what they call in the business a heat check. So he took another one since they're going to leave him alone because in the scouting report, Mo's made a few threes. But if you're going to leave somebody by themselves, and honestly, they were leaving Jaron Stevenson because he'd been struggling, but he got it going last night. And when Alabama shoots like that, if you make 17 threes, you're not going to beat them. And I got it almost. I was close. I said I had my prediction on the show is 87-80. I got the 80 right, but Alabama shot Texas out of the gym. And Trey Johnson's really good. He's going to be a lottery pick, and they're a good team, not a great team. I think they're probably in my 5 or 6 that I think eventually will probably not get in the tournament out of the league. I think the cap will be 10 or 11. 10 or 11 teams. I'm
starting to buy into 12 because
I don't know.
The ACC is bad.
Oh, the ACC is horrible. There's no doubt about it. But Brad Brownell, that was a huge win over Duke this past week.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, and they weren't even ranked at the time, which I thought was kind of bizarre.
Yep.
But, Jay Billis brought up a great point, though. This is how deep the SEC is. South Carolina beat Clemson. And South Carolina ain't won a game. Now, they could have won 4 or 5, but they got can of Pringles. Most of them crumbs. So, they haven't been able to pull one out.
You know what? The SEC is, 82-82 since
that's another one.
Since league play began, or conference play. It's almost like they're playing each other or something.
Those shows sometimes where
who said that?
Carl Rabbit, who was doing play-by-play of the Alabama-Texas game.
Well, I missed that.
They should have just tapped him on the shoulder and just ask him for his headset, and then if whoever's in, they always probably have somebody out in the truck that can take over, and somebody should have just took over so they could test him for drugs.
Well, I imagine in Gulf South Conference play, it's split down the middle too.
Yeah.
So you
could ask Mick that. Like, is the league at 500 in the last week? And just look at you. Like, what'd you just say?
Wow! I am so grateful.
I mean, trust me. If you go to X last night and you just click on a few of the Alabama guys, did I just hear what I think I just heard? I mean, Aaron Suttles, he's a trip. I mean, he's just like,
goodness gracious.
Now, the best tweet or post of the night was,
this is when I really miss Season.
Yeah. If you're going to play in Texas, you got to have a phylon in the back.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
But you knew Cecil quite well too, but he was such a hoop guy.
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah.
He and I were spirit animals because we both love football and adore it, but we both are hoop heads, first.
Yeah.
And we're not afraid to say it.
Yeah.
One of the best compliments of my career, and I've said it on the show a couple times, and I'll always say it, was Rainer Saban. He now covers Michigan for the Detroit Free Press. I sat down in the second row. Cecil and I were there for Nate Oates' press conference 6 years ago, and I sat down, and Rainer patted me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Hey, man," he goes, "we knew Avery was done when you and Cecil turned on him." Because they had heard me eviscerate Avery on Ryan Fowler's show. And Ryan was like, "Are you sure you're going to say this?" He set me up, and then I had to. It was right after Norfolk State, and I was just like, "Look, it's over." And I was getting messages from other media friends, and they're like, "Good Lord, you're just howitzering," and I was like, "Well, it's over." Everybody could tell it. And with what Bruce Pearl was starting to do at Auburn, you had to do something.
Yeah.
And now you have arguably the two best programs in the country, not the state.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or the SEC, but in the country. I mean, it's pretty stunning that this is the first 1 versus 2 in SEC history, and it doesn't involve Kentucky.
How about that?
I mean, or even Billy Donovan's Gators.
That's why I was thinking Kentucky,
back.
Florida back in the day.
Because back then that was a 2-bid league. They dominated the conference.
Yeah.
They were so much better than everyone else. And now, as Jay Billis said, this is the best league in the regular season I've ever seen. And that put it all into context because I hadn't really thought about that. He goes, remember, Clemson's in second place in the ACC, and they lost to South Carolina, who's winless in the league. So, and I think Brad Brownell's a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
He got to the Elite Eight last year. He's figured it out. Sometimes with, because he's been on the hot seat a few times and they didn't make a change. It was probably a good thing. And so he's got good players. He knows what kind of kids he needs to recruit. I think he's figured out the portal, and he almost got Zion years ago. So
that's right.
I mean, he's doing well, and they're going to make the tournament. And like you said, Steve, there could be 12. SEC could.
I'm thinking 12.
I mean, I just think that, of course, South Carolina and LSU are done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think unless they win 5 games in 5 days.
And I mean, beginning next week, I won't count this week. Beginning next week, if they win out, then we can have a conversation.
I mean, we even started. I even made a proclamation that I would put if South Carolina won 5 games in 5 days, I'd wear a Bruce Pearl mask on the show. I mean, I was like, come on. And then we amended it. Somebody said, well, what about if you just put Jeff and the Burrow on the phone and let people take calls?
So the delay is now working. The delay is now working and fully functional at the radio station.
Now that would be, and then Scott kind of liked the Jeff and the Burrow idea. Let people call in and
so when's the time Jeff called you?
He's called the last 2 days.
Oh, he has.
Yeah, they've been decent calls. Now today he just was on repeat. I need to ask him if he just records his call and replays it on every show because he was. And I knew he'd be excited. They swept Tennessee. They beat Tennessee twice. They whacked them. It was a bad matchup for the Vols. Kentucky handled them, and I knew he'd be happy about that. But but again, I do think though that again. LSU and South Carolina are probably the two that are already in mode where you got to win the whole thing. You got to win the tournament. Yeah. No, not even. I don't even know if they can get there. They're both not good. I mean, I don't know. By the end of you got 7-8 games left. And you're not winning any right now. So you may play yourself
take a closer look at their
out
resume,
of postseason.
But I would assume both of those teams would be heading.
Then
to
you got the
NIT.
Georgias, the Vanderbilts, the Arkansas. That are still in it. I mean, they're very much on the bubble, but you got to win some games. Even Mississippi
South Carolina
State
is 78 in the Ken Palm rankings.
Right.
So that to me feels very NIT.
Yes.
To me.
If they're over 500.
LSU's 81. So
but see, you got to win a few games though to stay above 500. And so and right now South Carolina's having trouble winning 1 game, and then LSU's about having the same kind of deal. I mean, and tonight, let's not get it twisted. Arkansas has to beat LSU or they are on life support. I mean, how quickly people will forget the Kentucky win and Texas. But if you don't beat LSU and they sweep you after you blew that game on the road.
And they've got A&M this weekend too, on the road at A&M.
And you know how tough that'll be.
That's an L right there for Arkansas.
Should be. Yeah. I mean, in theory, because we all thought Kentucky would be too, and then look out.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
for Bama with the injury to Reitzel, how much has that hurt this team, you think?
I think they've overcome it. Now, it was crucial because he was a great on-ball defender and he was a great shooter, but they got Youngblood healthy, and Youngblood is a sniper. Youngblood is a tough guy. Youngblood defends. I think he's been the perfect replacement for Latrell Reitzel. Now, Millette was never really in the rotation.
Yeah.
He was hurt, and they tried to put him in it, and then he still was bothered a little bit. And then I also think Nate's smart. He realized, okay. And right now he's got 9 because Darion Reed's still out. But he's got 10.
Is there any chance Reed plays Saturday?
Potentially, because he was questionable at the start of this week.
Yeah.
But also like Nate, I asked Coach Nate Oates about that after the Georgia game. you've got to get him where he's going, in practice hard from start to finish, and then get him because he's rusty, and then get him back in the rotation. It's going to kind of be tough in the Auburn game because, Lord, we're talking about dudes everywhere. Now, he's very capable because he's a McDonald's All-American, but I think they realized when Darion's healthy, they've got 10 guys, and they were already redshirting Nas Cunningham, and then you redshirt Millett and Reitzel, and you don't have to hit the portal as hard because Reitzel and Millett are two really good fits for what they're going to do next year. So you can almost kind of start planning for next year too. You should have Aiden Sherrill back because I don't think he'll go to the NBA. He's a really good player, that young player.
What year is Holloway?
Yeah, Holloway's a sophomore, but he's another one that he's not the biggest kid. He's he's a perfect fit for the system. He should be back. The wild card is Philon. Like, is he going to go to the NBA after a year?
Early on, I thought he was a one-and-doner, but he hit a wall.
He did, but he knocked the wall over last night.
Yes, he did.
So we'll see if he keeps doing that, because if he and even if Darion Reed too, if they both come back, dude, and they both play well and they make a deep NCAA run, I've seen that happen where you catch the NBA scouts and they're like, whoa, these guys are back. They're great. They're great talents. And I know that the NBA people love Philon, so that's going to be a situation where to monitor. Reed, though, started out the season like a top 20 prospect, but not playing is not helping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but he could get back on the court, even not starting, make some plays in some big games, because Alabama's got the most brutal schedule starting on Saturday down the stretch. Their last 7 games, everybody is ranked. It's 7 straight ranked games. They play
7 straight.
2 of them against Auburn
games.
So, and there you go. So their strength of schedule is going to be off the charts, but it's tough because, again, you're playing a lot of really good teams. You got to go to Tennessee. That'll be a hornet's nest. I mean, I hope they burn it to the ground. But again, it's not going to be. We know so much of it is matchups, and they have trouble with Rick Barnes' teams. They're really physical on defense.
They do.
They rebound the ball really well, and then a lot of times they do a great job of defending Alabama and making it tough. So, and they did lose twice to Kentucky, but at the same time, they really almost wanted Auburn. They're a good team. They're still very good. I mean, I know that they've got now 6 conference losses, I guess. But hey, they're still a top 5 team in the country, definitely top 10. So I mean, it just goes to show you how tough the league is and how good it is. And like we've been saying on Talking Ball all week, the expanded SEC tournament now, you've got 4 games on Wednesday. Until yesterday, Kentucky was on Wednesday.
How about that?
I mean, wow, which means you've got to win 5 games in 5 days or wear a Bruce Pearl mask. I mean, crazy. I mean, you're going to have some really good teams that are probably top 6 seeds in the NCAA tournament. One of them is going to have to play on Wednesday. I mean,
I'm just letting that soak in.
No, but right now it's kind of a 3-way dance. It was Kentucky, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. Because your dogs are better and they've got a chance to get in the tournament, but the
starting 5 decent, the bench not so
well,
much.
I can tell you this, man. I've been monitoring how all of them are playing, and everybody knows, my relationship with the Crimson Panthers, and they play Monday against Vestavia Hills in the Sweet 16. Late night. We know that they went to Montverde to play, and some people have kind of forgotten. I just told them, I said, look, Huntsville High lost by 27 points to Montverde. I was like, the starting 5, point guard Robert Wright, starting point guard for the Baylor Bears, 2 guard Liam McNeely, leading scorer for the UConn Huskies, center Derek Queen, starter for the Maryland Terrapins. And then they had 2 pretty good forwards, starting at the 3, Cooper Flagg, starting at the 4, some cat named Asa Newell.
Oh, wow.
For Georgia.
Gee, that was the 5.
That's the starters. And then one of LSU's guards was the 6th man.
Goodness gracious.
So that's how good the starting 5 was, guys.
Montverde.
and I said, needless to say, people, they went undefeated and won the national championship. But I mean,
let's flip over to Auburn. And this team defensively is a lot of fun to watch. But offensively, they're starting to figure out some things. Most notably, Chaney Johnson last night was impressive.
He's their 6th man. I mean, he's done a really good job. I mean, we know Jonah is their best player.
Yep.
But you have to make him work for everything, make him take volume shots, hope he's inefficient. and still he's going to get his numbers, but you got to make him work for every point. Cardwell, I think you've got to get him in foul trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And then now if Chaney plays like he did last night, you're going to have a hard time. I mean,
especially that little baby hook.
Yeah,
if
he's that good on offense,
yeah,
then
that's a problem.
Then that's a problem. You got to make him earn it as well. The biggest thing for Alabama, though, against Auburn is they're going to have to cut down on the live ball turnovers, because this sounds funny, and I know Wes was watching the game too, but if Alabama doesn't have 8 turnovers in the first 8 minutes and then turn it over 17 times overall, they would have scored 130 points. I mean, if you just cut those turnovers from 17 to 8, it's probably 130 to 80. They probably would have won by 50. I mean, that you could say that the way they were shooting the basketball.
They won by 22, and Texas played pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were able to score the basketball. I couldn't do it with consistency. At the end of the game, it was just they'd take 2 steps and get it under. Then they got it to 13 once. How about hit 2 threes in a row?
Yeah.
They just were shooting. We might need to move our home stadium over there.
Well, I mean, somebody found Nate Oates. Nate's never been afraid to do something. They found it wasn't last night, but I think it was another time. Maybe it was a football game or something, but
maybe.
But
that'd be horns down for those of you following along right now.
But I mean, I just think the keys are pretty simple. Alabama's got to keep their live ball turnovers down, because Auburn will make you pay. I mean, they're a really good defensive team. They got to rebound. They need to find a way to win the rebounding battle, especially on the offensive glass. You can't give Jonai second shots, third shots, Dylan Cardwell, Chaney, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then to me, Alabama has to get Auburn in foul trouble. They got to attack the rim. Then the threes will come, but they don't depend on the three, like having to make 10 or 11 a game. They've got to attack the rim, win the O board, and be able to get some putbacks, get some kick out threes off the offensive board, because they do that. But that's the part people don't talk about with their threes, is they get a lot of them off offensive rebounds. You kick it back out, boom, you're wide open 3. So that's what they've got to do. That's the 3 key areas if they're going to win. I haven't seen the point spread yet. Somebody asked me, what is it really?
Auburn
I thought it
favored by 4.5.
Auburn, wow, that's a little bit surprising. I would take that as complete disrespect if I were Alabama, but I mean, hey, they have not played as well at home, so Auburn being favored by 4.5, it's pretty interesting.
I think Dane Bradshaw picked Auburn. Did he?
I think at the end he did.
Okay, I think Dane.
I think he was just because we were pressing.
He was hedging.
Yeah, he hedged the whole time.
Yeah,
but he's on TV.
Oh, I know. I know, but
I mean, there's obviously he's a Bruce Pearl fan, and it's
played
hard
for
not
him.
to be.
Played for him. Yeah. And coming up on the program tomorrow, Clark Kellogg will be on the program. So will Sonny Smith. The coach is going to join us tomorrow here on the program. Of course, we're live here at Baumower's Victory Grill.
And I want to correct myself. Pardon me, Steve. Tennessee is actually 7-5. I said they had 6 losses, but they've got 5 conference losses, 7-5. And like I said, when you look at the standings, I've seen Oklahoma. I'm not sure they're going to stay on the right side of the bubble. They got eviscerated by Alabama and Auburn. And I'm not a big fan of their team. Texas, they're going to have a hard time. Arkansas, actually, of the ones of the bottom 5 or 6, I think Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas have the best chance. But like I said, Arkansas just can't lay any turds. They can't go to sleep tonight and let LSU win. They've got to play well.
By the way, I've got the tip tonight. Courtesy of me, because I went to Tennessee last night. Because leaving at the end of the show, Tennessee was down at halftime
by 9.
Yeah, but I saw the stats,
and he threw out a bet, and every time he throws one out, he's over.
No, I don't know about over.
Yeah, but you throw it out.
When I throw it out.
When you throw it out, you're over. 100%. I was like, I came home and I was like, $10. That was easy money.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I look at the matchups, man. Like, and even Mississippi State is. I definitely think they're an NCAA tournament team, but
Florida did to them in the second half.
But they could be in trouble if they like, for example, it's going to be tough. I think Ole Miss will get them Saturday, but if they could sweep Ole Miss, it would be huge because they got them in overtime the other day.
Right.
And then we're on Chris Beard watch too about Indiana, even though I think from what I'm hearing that they're going to go all in and shoot for the moon and try to get Brad Stevens. I don't see that happening, but I mean, I think Chris Beard would be gettable. And I understand why, because Butler in the state of Indiana.
I get that, but I just
it would be so cool for him or Billy Donovan. And I'm not saying Donovan's in the mix. I'm just saying for them to come back to college basketball, both of them, and leave the worst league in America, and come back to college basketball. But again, I mean, but like I said, I don't, and I hope they even if Brad says no, I wouldn't blame him if they did call Billy Donovan. I certainly would. But but
make him say no.
But I think Beard is gettable. And again, I still think a lot of fans, though he had his detractors and he certainly flamed out, there's still a ton of people that love Bob Knight in that state. And he coached for Coach Knight at Texas Tech. He should have an understanding of how that fan base would function. And I still think, people sometimes ask, is Indiana still an elite program? Because it's been a long time. They hadn't made the Final Four since 02 when they went to the national championship game, lost to Maryland. And then Coach Knight's last one, I think, was 93. That was Calvert Chaney. So it's been a long time since they were really good. But I still say it's like lighting a match, though. Mm-hmm. It's basketball state. If you hire the right coach at Indiana, I mean, I still think, boom, they're in the upper half of the Big Ten. Even last night, Tom Izzo, if he had won at home in the Landis Sparty, he was going to break Bob Knight's record.
Right.
What happened? Indiana beat him by 4. And so,
we do need to take our first time out. We'll dive into some football on the other side in this basketball state. We're live here at Baumower's Victory Grill. We'll be right back.
Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the midfield zone back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia if you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center. Tired of that washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
We are your home for March Madness. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Back here at Baumower's Victory Grill. 256-576-4977 is the telephone number if you'd like to participate. West Neighbors, Steve Moulton, Drudy Armand here with us, and talked quite a bit of some hoops there in the first segment for obvious reasons with number one versus number one. Who's right, the coaches or the AP voters? We'll find out that answer on Saturday, but over to the football side we go, and I tell you, it is getting harder and harder for me to discern, what to look for in the spring just because of the portal mess, coaches changes, a lot has it felt like the Ryan Grubb news was kind of anticlimactic because as soon as we saw that he was available, the assumption, at least for us, was that he was coming to Tuscaloosa. Drew.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I'll freely admit I was asked 6,000 times, once he was let go by the Seahawks officially.
Yeah.
And it took a while, and I think it took a while because he was exploring NFL opportunities. And, the same thing was thought when Scott Huff got replaced with the Seahawks, and they made an O-line change that he would – because he and Grubb were here for about a week in Tuscaloosa last year before they both left for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference was Grubb and DeBoer's relationship is so deep. Like they've been together so long, every year but 2 years in their coaching careers.
Yeah.
He inherited Huff and kept him for both years at Washington. But my thing is Kapolovic, who they hired from Michigan State / Baylor for about 3 weeks. He's did a great job recruiting, and I thought the O-line got better. Now, they still had a space cadet right tackle who now could be Nebraska's problem in Elijah Pritchett. But, I thought Formby got better. I still think, and I thought Caden Proctor made progress, but he's still got to make more. But you also have to take into account he had a torn labrum that he played with all year. And then he will not go through spring in the next 3 weeks when they start. He won't have any rep because he had surgery. I mean, you had to, get his shoulder fixed, which is gonna, the kid Anagwam, that's the best I can do. From Ball State that they brought in. He was a freshman at Ball State last year. Got a couple starts. He'll get a ton of reps, in my opinion, likely at left tackle. Probably work at both. But Formby's going to have to continue to get better. And they took Anagwam because they lost Ty Haywood to Michigan so they needed a developmental tackle because right now that's probably one of the bigger question marks is the depth at offensive tackle. I mean, and they got Jackson Lloyd coming in a 5-star, but he's never concentrated on football. He's always been a football, basketball, baseball kid, but he has a lot of talent, but he's still got to get bigger, stronger, develop. And so again, tackle is probably one of the bigger question marks as far as developing depth. Now I'm sure Olas Alinen, who's one of the backups at offensive guard, I'm sure he'll probably get some time at tackle. They'll cross-train some people. But, right now, I think the starter-wise, I think they feel pretty good about where they're at because you should get Proctor back healthy in the fall. That's your left tackle. Formby is your right tackle. You got Parker Brailsford, really good fit at center. And then another part of it that was rough on Bama last year was he got hurt in camp and then just kept getting hurt was Jaden Roberts. He was never really fully healthy last year. Swamp Monster should be healthy, so he's back. So basically it'll be 4 of your starters should be pretty well decided when you get to fall camp. But then going into spring and then over into the fall will be the competition at left guard because you lost Booker, very likely a first-round pick. He was a captain. So to me, it'll be a three-way dance at left guard. It's probably going to be they brought in Cam Dewberry from Texas A&M, who started some, played in the SEC. He's going to compete. You got Geno Vandermark, the transfer from Michigan State, who played some last year, especially when Roberts kept going out. He can play both guards and center. But then the guy to watch, the freakazoid, is Mike Carroll from the IMG Academy. He was the number one interior offensive lineman in the country, most people thought. Okay. Very interesting story on him because his parents are both Big Ten athletes. Like his mother played basketball at Michigan State, and then his father played at Penn State. And so he was a really good player going into last year, but then kind of exploded because he transferred from the school he was at in Pennsylvania to IMG Academy in the summer. Played for IMG Academy, dominated, and then by the end of the process was considered an overall top 10 player in the country and the best interior offensive lineman. So it'll depend on how quickly he catches on, but luckily he's, going through spring ball. So we'll see. I mean, Alabama's had good luck a lot of times with the freakazoids. Like they found guys that, didn't take them long to get ready to play and get up to speed. So we'll see if he can do that. But you have two experienced guys in Vandermark and Dewberry who, if he's not ready yet, you got two guys that have been through the wars a little bit that can play. And so that's I think they're in solid shape there. And then, Olassalina, and I just mentioned, he can back up Jaden Roberts. So in other words, I think with this recruiting class they brought in, Anagwam, and then they brought in 4 signees. I thought Kapolovic did a great job of recruiting because one of the hardest things in this portal area is depth.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep it, and it's hard to get guys to
maintain
stay.
it,
But I think he added some talent. I think they retained a lot of guys, and so I think they got a chance to have a pretty good offensive line going into
something Wes has mentioned a good bit. And now, in retrospect, how big of an issue was discipline on last year's team, you think?
Well, I mean, I think it was a little bit of an issue. I think it was a player-led team, and I don't know how good the leadership was on that spot. I think Booker was a great leader. I think Lawson, Malachi Moore, but even Malachi had some issues. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean he's a very emotional guy.
Yeah.
And he let it get away from him a little bit.
A couple of times.
I didn't think Milroe was a very effective leader because what I call effective leadership is when things are going bad, because when things are going good, it's easy to lead. You can get up there and wave your arms and pump everybody up and go slap everybody on the back. But then when things go bad and you're turning the ball over or you're not moving the football, it doesn't help to go over there and sit under a tent and not talk to anybody. Okay. I just didn't think he was that effective a leader. And I think, but again, and he wasn't a great fit for the offense. The coaching staff did a great job trying to build an offense around his strengths. He's a great athlete. I mean, electric. When you see him execute properly, you saw the results. But then when things would go bad or they take things away, like I started thinking about his 2-year career as a starter. The only time I can ever remember him like truly rallying a team to win. Now he rallied them against Georgia last year when they fell behind, but that was one lightning strike play. I mean, when it looked really bad at halftime, it looked like they were going to get smoked. I thought it was Tennessee in Tuscaloosa because they were getting smacked. It was 20-7, but then he came back out, climbed the pocket, hit Bond, and he really started playing well in that second half. Brought him back, they outscored him 27-0. He didn't turn it over.
Well, when I talk about discipline, it has nothing to do with what you're saying. It's the penalties that other people got. Had nothing to do with Milroe.
The thing is, that's been a 2 to 3 year. That was even Saban's last couple of years. We started seeing more and more of that.
We didn't get personal foul penalties. I mean, we had penalties, but we didn't get personal foul. We got a personal foul penalty in the Tennessee game. We still have a chance to win the game.
Kendrick Law, and he's gone.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there were a bunch of plays like that. But Kendrick Law didn't do it once. He did it again in the last game.
That's right. One of the reasons he's gone.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I'm just saying that, and Milrose should have been pulled several times last year and wasn't.
yeah.
I mean, so that's the head coach to me. The discipline last year was my issue with the team. I didn't think we played with discipline on defense at times. We didn't do our job. I mean, you go back and look at the Michigan game, the only drive they had in the second half, number 4 jumps inside and get outside him and get a first down. He's the only thing that's contained. All he has to do is stand there, and 4 people are going to make the tackle. But it wouldn't have been him. But instead, he tries to jump in there. Guy goes around. It was the total discipline of the team. Without that, we're not ever going to win anything. That's what has to change.
I agree.
All the things.
I agree. And
everything, they're going to get the players. They're going to get the maybe not as like we were, because it's obvious that you need lots of money. Like you need $30 million to win a national championship now. That's what's pretty much been proven. I don't know how much we're spending, but it's not $30 million.
No, I mean, I agree. But the one thing, I'm sure you guys talked about this on the show, last week they released those comments from Rock Montgomery. He's a backup offensive guard on the team. He'll be competing for playing time in the fall. And basically right after the season, DeBoer had a team meeting, and he just asked the players, like, okay, I'm going to let you guys talk. We saw how the year went. What do you guys want? And the prevailing thing was they wanted discipline. They wanted accountability, no more jewelry, be on time, coaches, players, everybody. So
and without that, you don't have a prayer.
Right. And so that's a good step. Now it has to go into effect. But, just from what I'm hearing, I think also I'll just say this is what I've been saying about DeBoer. Just because you're considered a nice guy or quiet and you're not a yeller and a screamer doesn't mean you're soft.
Well, yeah. So I thought he did a better job as at the end of the year of trying to hold them accountable.
Yeah, right.
Pulling them out when they got – I don't think at the beginning of the year that he did. And when that happens, it's hard to reel them back in.
It is. And so –
you got to have the culture there where the players don't put up with it.
Right.
If
self-policing is what you're saying.
If a guy, when I was playing, got a personal foul penalty with number 1, they'd had to pull me off of you. That'd been I might have got kicked out of the game for whipping my own player's ass. That's what it would have happened. Nobody even thought like that. How selfish is that?
Yeah, it's really selfish. And I think that's the thing that from what I understand, DeBoer's put everyone on notice. The strength coaches, the position coaches, like, this has to change. We've got to lay down the law. It's got to be better.
But if they do that, they have the talent now. It's not like it used to be because they don't have guys that have been there 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So you got to get a little lucky with the
portal,
with the portal, but also with the injuries.
And
all that kind of stuff. You can't lose your starting quarterback nowadays.
No, it's really it's almost like the NFL. It's just really hard.
I mean, you look at our best game. I think DeBoer is a good X and O guy. Because the best 2 games we played, we beat some we destroyed. We beat Georgia pretty bad, and they made a good run, which is good for them. But we held on, won that game. And then we played like the best team in America. If that day we had to play for the national championship, we'd have won it.
You talking about LSU?
No, I'm talking about Georgia. Now the LSU, we monkey stomped them. Both were after off weeks.
That's right. Right.
And then the worst games we played on the year were coming off those victories. So to me, that's not having the discipline you need to prepare every week. And that's what Coach Saban was so good. They brought it every week. I mean, if they got beat, it was on some fluke stuff. I mean, and that's what's going to happen.
Or you have 5 turnovers, something like crazy. Ricocheting off helmets.
Yeah, that's the Ole Miss game that year.
Not handling it to Derrick Henry and having a quarterback with 103 fever throwing the ball down the field with Robert Kimdichie breathing down his neck probably on meth, whatever.
Anyways, it's to me.
Q's got his own problems down on the plane.
Yeah, he does. So Hugh needs to win too. I mean, let's not get it I mean, they need to.
If they don't beat Baylor, ...
Well, they need to win 8 so he can stop feeling the heat because they need to look better because they did not look well coached last year for most of the year. And then I remember I messaged you guys during the show. Durkin, this thing with him was Ohio State.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ohio State started coming calling.
$2.5 million.
I knew something had to happen.
Yeah.
You just don't give some guy
$2.5 million
and
at least statistically, the defense really didn't improve all that much.
Well, they did lose some key guys, and but like Wes said, 15 Falk is a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they need to get better at linebacker. I mean, I know that was kind of an emphasis, and they're
to me in the secondary. If they played anybody with a arrest for calling holding, they're going to get penalties on every possession because that's all they were doing.
Right.
They didn't have the athletes to stay with anybody, and that's what needs to change the most. They can talk about quarterback and this or that, but if people can strike quickly, you're in big trouble. And that's what happened a lot of times.
Yep, it's going to be interesting. I just think with Alabama too, I think they should have a better wide receiver core. That's what I was disappointed. I thought the receiver group would be good last year, but guys like Kendrick Law did not develop. Kobe Prentice, I thought he would be better. He struggled in that new offense. Emmanuel Henderson.
Do you put any of that on Shepard?
No, I think most of it was. I think the coaching staff, when they got there and went through spring ball and they evaluated everybody. A couple things too that were underrated that happened. They lost Jalen Hale in the spring, and I think they thought he was really going to be a heavy contributor. And then another guy that they liked that was in the rotation that was starting to make some plays got hurt twice, and the second time he was done for the year was Cole Adams. I believe that was against Missouri. Yeah. They lost him. And then these guys, even though Emmanuel Henderson made a few plays, but he was not consistent. Mm-hmm. Law could not run a route nor catch. I mean, he looks great in his pads, and he's fast, but was not a functional football player, okay, and probably should have been a safety. He's going to Kentucky where receivers go to die. So I don't know, what's going to happen there for his last year. But, I mean, if you notice, very little down the stretch did Law get targeted. Law was basically he was your reverse guy. They would use him on end arounds and stuff. They didn't really throw him and feature him in the passing game. And so I just think that overall, Jaron Hamilton wasn't very good. Now, the one kid that I know they like a lot that played at the end of the year, they think Rico Scott's got a real chance, but he needed a lot of seasoning last year and to get himself acclimated, but he could make a jump. And then you go out and you get Isaiah Horton, who I know they think a lot of out of the portal as far as his ability, bringing some size, some underrated speed. Both the high school signees, Derek Meadows and Latsier Brooks, bring speed as well.
We do need to take our final timeout. I wanted to get a thought on the secondary because that was certainly an issue last year at Alabama as well. We're live here at Baumower's Victory Grill. We'll close up shop on the other side here on The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan? The right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green. John Kendall, the Vice President of Mortgage with me. John, When they need a loan, and I say they, when people need a loan, it's about them.
That's right, Scott. Our whole motto is it's all about you. We're going to be okay. You're the one making the investment. We want to make sure that you're taken care of.
How do they find you?
Give us a call at 256-507-9180, or they can catch us online at bankofFrankEwing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green, where they take the home loan to you and they make it all about you. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDI insured bank as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. And check us out at cpcfamily.org.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Rain continues into this Wednesday night. Low temperatures expected to fall into the lower 40s for the overnight. Heading into our Thursday, expect a mostly cloudy start, gradually becoming partly sunny by the afternoon. Temperatures going to be noticeably cooler. Highs are only expected to reach the upper 40s for the afternoon. We could also see wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Winding down the drive here live from Baumower's Victory Grill. For more Dirty Army, you can check him out weekday mornings along with Scott Tyson. It's Talking Ball 7 to 9. Who you got on tomorrow morning?
We're going to be talking some hoops. We got Jeremy Crutcher coming on right off the bat.
There you go.
Before his shoot around is, they play the final game tomorrow night. I'm going to try to be there at Wallace State. They take on Clay Chalkville, a very talented Clay Chalkville Cougars team, Huntsville High. We played them over there at Clay and played well. And at the time,
Huntsville for those that don't.
Yeah,
speak
Clay
Chalkville.
I work very closely with Christian Swears in Huntsville High, and we're the home of the Crimson Panthers here. But we played them on the road at Clay Chalkville. Very good team, very athletic team. And it's showing you that I was locked in and didn't really even look up. I didn't realize until Swears hollered at me that somebody was holding the door for me to walk into Clay Chalkville's gym. Never been in it before, and it was Trevor Relaford. So
pretty cool.
Like Swears like, hey, dude, this guy was a pretty good player.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Only a 4-year starter.
Secondary for Alabama. I mentioned that heading to a break. I know that was a certain issue, how thin it got last year.
Well, it did, especially at safety because of the injuries. Sabb should be back for spring, but he, as everyone knows, his last game was against Tennessee in Knoxville. He played with a broken foot. So he's very important to what they want to do. But it did open the door for my favorite story of last season was Bray Hooker.
No question.
Yeah.
That kick and play.
Yeah.
I mean, all he needed was a chance. And he came out there pretty cold, didn't I mean, I think he was third or fourth string during the scrimmage I went to, and they put him out here, and all he did was play ball. The guy played awesome.
Yeah.
3 or 4 interceptions, made plays all the field, always in the right place, never missed a tackle. I mean, came up and just I mean, with him and Saab, I'm not worried about. At safety, I'm not worried about. I think the secondary is going to be good now. Just like now, we got to get some more depth, though.
Yeah,
KC's guys get hurt, right? Because a lot of people left.
Yeah, because you got Damani Jackson and Xavier Brown back at corner. As Wes said, you'll have Bray Hubbard and now Keon Sabb at safety. And then there'll be some competition at nickel, but I think DJ Jones, the kid from Wake Forest, I thought once he went over there and started,
he did play well.
I think he kind of found himself
he did.
when some injuries caused that too. But I think they've got some young guys too out of the recruiting class that will help. Dijon Lee, 6'4" corner, can really run out of Mission Viejo, California. He's going through spring. Another guy, I know, Wes, I know you may remember Ike Taylor, who played with the Steelers for a long time. His son, Ivan Taylor.
Ivan.
This is what I've been told about Ivan since he enrolled. He wakes up, eats breakfast, watches tape, goes to workouts, come back, watch more tape. So he's kind of a,
hopefully school's in there too.
He's a football nerd,
tutor, right? He's got a tutor.
Yeah, everybody has to have a tutor. Listen, my tutor at Alabama,
I think I met your tutor.
You have, because I take him everywhere I go still.
I've met your tutor as well.
Yeah, so
several times.
My degree ought to have his name under it like a painting.
You want to call Daniel Moore and get something commissioned here?
And I tell him that.
Well, we got you have a mural up here. Are we going to put a mural of him in our new studio?
We can. I got a picture with him. I talked to him this weekend. Yeah, he was something else. I mean, the guy's an amazing guy. I mean, he lives in Tuscaloosa, and he helped Wesley. He helped.
Did he really?
Oh yeah, move in and out of his places.
Oh, I thought you were going to say tutored him too.
No, Wesley could have got into Harvard.
Yeah, Wesley got into tutor.
I mean, when you have a photographic memory.
Yeah, you might starve to death with a room full of refrigerators, but every kid's different. Yes.
Yeah.
You've met all mine. And
they are all different. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
But but I do think the secondary's got a chance. I thought that they came the furthest last year. I thought they, even with the injuries, because Bray Hubbard was ready to go.
Yeah.
I think they play.
DJ
so you
Jones.
go back. You go by every position.
Right.
I thought I was disappointed in the offensive line as a total last year.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever reached their potential. A lot of it could have been injuries. They got a new coach, new system. I was disappointed in. I thought the receivers didn't play as good at the end of the year as I'd hoped, and that showed its ugly head in the Michigan game. Disappointed with the quarterback. I thought the running backs did well at times, and blocked well, really.
Yeah. And I will say this too. I think there's 3 DBs that need to really come along in the spring that have a chance. I think they have talent. One, Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. I think he's small, but I think he's got a chance to be a good player. Maybe he could play that nickel spot. I was talking about DJ / aka Deshaun Jones. DJ Jones, he'll be back. He'll probably be first team at nickel. But another couple guys, I thought he played really well in the bowl game, Wes. But I thought, especially because Malachi was out, but I thought Zay Mincy, he was a true freshman, number 12. He was a corner, but they moved him by the end of the year inside to safety, and I think he's got a chance. He's got great length.
Yeah, he does. They got to have some role players.
And then Red Morgan, number 16. I know you liked Red last spring, and we'll see how much better he is. I think they actually have a chance to have good depth in the secondary this coming year.
Red likes to hold too much, so
he grabs a little bit.
Yeah, he grabs a lot. But you know what my biggest concern is, Drew, is linebacker, defensive lineman. Do we have enough people coming in the defensive line?
I think the defensive line is still the biggest question because of the depth, especially, and they've got to replace Tim Smith.
He played awesome at the
Yeah, and then again, like I said, linebacker, they were very fortunate though. the injury to Deontay Lawson could be a godsend, and that rule change to get Justin Jefferson back in that inside linebacker.
That's right. That helps a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
That is going to wrap us up here from Baumhower's. Paul Feinbaum comes up next, and we will talk to you tomorrow night with some more number 1 versus number 1 talk. Alabama, Auburn. You'll be able to hear it here on Saturday.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. Your home of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
And swamp the wrong. There's nothing like the SEC. The weekend's full of surprises.